Hunting gear and preferences are always shifting, and some cartridges that used to be mighty popular are starting to slip into the shadows. Ever notice how some rounds that were once easy to find are now getting scarce? Or wonder why certain old favorites just ain't getting talked about much anymore? It ain't just some passing fad. There are real reasons behind it, like less ammunition being made and newer, better rounds taking their place. In the world of hunting, only the calibers that keep up with the times tend to hang on. So which ones are falling behind and why? Let's take a look at 7 hunting calibers that likely won't be with us much longer and what's pushing them toward the edge. 280 Remington. One of the calibers feeling the squeeze these days is the 280 Remington. Brought to life back in the late 1950s, it quickly built a name for itself as a dependable, all-around cartridge one that could bring down everything from deer to moose, so long as you paired it with the right bullet. What sets it apart is that sweet middle ground it strikes between power and recoil. It's got enough muscle to get the job done, but it won't kick your shoulder hard enough to throw your aim off. That flat-shooting nature makes it real attractive to folks who want reach and accuracy without fighting heavy recoil the whole way. But even with all that going for it, the 280 Remington never quite earned the same trail-wide respect as some of its rivals like the 270 Winchester or the 30-06. As the years rolled by and newer cartridges showed up with flashier names and more ammo on the shelves, the 280 started slipping quietly out of the spotlight. Ammo runs have slowed too, making it harder to come by in your local shop. So, while there's still a solid group of loyal hunters and handloaders who swear by it, the big question hangs in the air. Will the 280 Remington ride this thing out for the long haul? Or is it on its way to being just another fine piece of history? Hard to say. Only time will tell. 264 Winchester Magnum. The 264 Winchester Magnum made quite a splash when it hit the scene back in the late 1950s. It came out swinging with promises of speed and long-range knockdown power, catching the attention of hunters going after medium to large game across big country. With its flat trajectory and high velocity, it looked like the perfect round for folks wanting to stretch their shots without sacrificing accuracy. But for all its strengths, the cartridge never could quite step out of the shadow of louder, flashier magnums like the 7mm Remington Magnum and the 300 Winchester Magnum that came in hot and fast, grabbing all the attention. One more hitch in its saddlebag was its reputation for wearing out barrels quicker than most, all thanks to high pressures and those hot-burning powders it runs on. That alone turned off plenty of hunters, especially when other rounds were easier on gear and shoulders alike. These days, it still holds on to a small but loyal bunch hunters and handloaders who admire its balance of punch and recoil. But with factory ammo getting harder to find and components drying up, the 264 Winchester Magnum is quietly stepping aside, leaving space for newer cartridges that are easier to load, shoot, and track down on the shelf. 220 Swift. The 220 Swift used to be the undisputed speed king of rifle cartridges, breaking past that 4,000 feet per second mark way back in the 1930s, a real milestone that put it in a class of its own. Fast as lightning and flatter than a prairie highway, it quickly became the go-to choice for varmint and small game hunters who needed reach, speed, and no nonsense. With that kind of velocity and a dead-flat trajectory, it could stack long-range shots right where you wanted them, ideal for thinning out coyotes, groundhogs, and anything else stirring up trouble across a pasture. For decades, it was a trusted favorite for folks who prize speed and precision in a light-shooting rifle. But time has a way of changing things. Newer rounds like the .22 250 Remington showed up, offering similar or even better ballistics, and doing it with more flexibility and easier reloading. Slowly but surely, that pushed the 220 Swift out of the spotlight. These days, it doesn't show up much at the range or in the field. Still, it holds on in the hands of diehards folks who love its history or have old rifles that have still got some good years in them. The 220 Swift is a fine example of how even the fastest thoroughbreds can get passed by. Not because they weren't great, but because the world kept moving. Progress don't always wait for legends. 32 Winchester Special. The 32 Winchester Special carries a kind of old-school charm that still turns the heads of hunters and collectors alike. Cooked up over 100 years back, this cartridge was built with classic lever-action rifles in mind, pushing a bullet just a touch bigger than the ever-popular 30-30 Winchester. It's long been a trusted round for whitetail and woods work, known for its reliable performance where it counts. Now, even with all that going for it, the .32 Winchester Special never quite climbed to the same heights as the 30-30. That round just plain outsold it and outpaced it from the start. These days, you'll still find a loyal crowd sticking with the .32, especially handloaders who like to fine-tune their own rounds, and hunters who've got a soft spot for the vintage feel of a well-worn lever gun. But truth is, the cartridge's grip on the mainstream is starting to slip. Factory ammo's getting harder to come by, and more folks are reaching for newer cartridges that offer easier access and stronger ballistics. While it's likely to hang on for a spell longer, thanks to those who still swear by it, the .32 Winchester Special is facing an uncertain road ahead in a hunting world that's always leaning into faster, flatter, and more efficient. 2520 Winchester. The 2520 Winchester is a real throwback, its roots stretching clear back to the late 1800s. It was built mainly for lever-action rifles like the Winchester Model 1892, and for a time it was a favorite among folks who hunted small game. With its rimmed bottleneck case and just enough punch to get the job done, it was made for quick, light shooting, perfect for rabbits, squirrels, and other smaller critters that didn't require a sledgehammer to put down. But as hunting demands shifted and stronger cartridges started showing up, the 2520's low energy and short reach started to stand out, not in a good way. It never found a solid place with folks chasing bigger game, and over time, it got pushed to the sidelines by rounds that could reach farther and hit harder. These days, the 2520 Winchester mostly hangs on with collectors, nostalgic shooters, and folks who still love the feel of an old-school rifle. It still shines for plinking and target shooting, where its low recoil and mild manner make it real pleasant to run. But with so many high-performance choices out there now, the 2520 Winchester is quietly stepping out of the hunting world and taking its place in the pages of firearm history. 222 Remington Magnum. The 222 Remington Magnum came out of the gate strong, built as a souped-up version of the original 222 Remington. With better velocity and a flatter trajectory, it caught the eye of a lot of shooters looking for more reach and tighter groups. It even had a short moment in the sun as a possible military cartridge, until the 223 Remington showed up and stole that job right out from under it. Even though it got overshadowed, the 222 Remington Magnum still found a home with varmint hunters and precision target shooters, who liked its accuracy and how steady it shot at mid-range. Over time, though, as the 223 Remington became king, thanks to how easy it was to find and how flexible it proved, the 222 Magnum started to fade from the main trail. These days, it sticks around mostly with handloaders and specialty folks who know how to get the most out of its unique ballistics. It's also the parent case for newer rounds like the 204 Ruger, which gives it a quiet but important place in cartridge history. It may not be in the spotlight anymore, but the 222 Remington Magnum still earns respect among folks who know their rifles, even as it slips a little further into the background with each passing year. 375 Winchester. The 375 Winchester showed up in the early 1970s as a modern spin on the classic lever-action hunting round, built to bring more power to the table than the ever-popular 30-30 Winchester. It was made with hunters in mind who needed a solid, dependable cartridge for short-range work, especially in thick timber, where quick, clean shots on mid-sized game, like whitetail and black bear, are the name of the game. With its rimmed bottleneck case and the muscle to push heavy bullets in the 200 to 250 grain range, the 375 Winchester hits with real authority without beating up your shoulder. That balance of power and recoil made it a smart choice for plenty of hunters who like their rifles simple, rugged, and ready for close quarters work. So there you have it, 7 hunting calibers that, despite past glory and a few die-hard fans, are quietly drifting out of the spotlight. Whether it's newer rounds outperforming them, factory ammo drying up, or changes in game laws and hunter preferences, these cartridges are slowly slipping toward the edge of obsolescence. Some will hang on in small circles and hand-loader benches. But the truth is, hunting's always changing. Only the toughest, most adaptable calibers will keep their boots on the ground for the long haul. For hunters and collectors alike, it's worth knowing which rounds are heading for the history books before they become nothing more than memories or dusty heirlooms.